Hold her down. I want her to remember what the floor tastes like. Sergeant Mason Briggs grips the back of Kaylin's neck, his fingers digging into her collar as he shoves her face toward the wooden bar table. The military bar erupts with laughter. 15 Navy SEALs crowd around, drinks raised, phones recording, their shadows stretching long under the yellow overhead lights. Kaylin's cheek presses against the sticky wood. Beer splashes across her hair, dripping down her forehead, pooling around her nose. Briggs tilts a full pitcher, letting the amber liquid cascade over her skull in a slow, deliberate stream. Welcome to the real Navy, sweetheart. Briggs leans close, his breath hot against her ear. This is what happens when little mechanics forget their place. The bar smells like spilled alcohol and testosterone. Neon signs flicker behind the counter. A jukebox plays something with heavy bass that nobody listens to. Every eye in the room locks onto the woman pinned to the table, her olive drab uniform darkening with beer stains. Kaylin does not struggle. Her fingers find the edge of the table. Her grip settles into position, thumb tucked, knuckles aligned, the kind of hold that combat instructors drill into operators until it becomes reflex. 4 counts in, hold, 4 counts out. Her breathing stays measured, controlled. The rhythm of someone who has faced worse than public humiliation. Briggs notices none of this. He is too busy playing to his audience. You know what I love about female technicians? He releases her neck, stepping back to address the crowd. They always think they belong here. They show up with their little toolkits, their safety certifications, their diversity quotas. He spreads his arms wide. And then they meet us. Laughter rolls through the bar like thunder. A young officer near the pool table shifts his weight. Lieutenant Rowan Hayes watches the scene with something darker than amusement in his eyes. His jaw tightens as Kaylin slowly pushes herself upright, beer streaming down her face, her expression completely blank. Briggs, Hayes takes a half step forward. Maybe that is enough. Enough! Briggs spins toward him, grinning. We are just getting started, Lieutenant. This one needs to learn the hierarchy. He turns back to Kaylin, snapping his fingers in her face. Hey, eyes on me when I'm talking to you. Kaylin lifts her gaze. Something flickers in her eyes, something cold and patient like frost forming on glass. For a fraction of a second, Briggs hesitates. The smile on his face wavers, then he shakes it off. See that? He jabs a thumb toward her. She thinks she is tough, probably watched some action movies, thinks she knows what combat is. He grabs a napkin from the bar, mockingly dabbing at her shoulder. Let me explain something, honey. You fix engines. You patch wires. You do not belong in the same room as men who actually pull triggers. The SEALs raise their glasses in agreement. Someone wolf whistles. Another makes a crude gesture. Hayes catches Kaylin's eye across the chaos. He expects anger, fear, humiliation. Instead, he sees calculation. The realization hits him like ice water. This woman is not enduring the abuse. She is cataloging it. Briggs. Hayes steps closer, lowering his voice. Something is off about her. Do you not feel it? Briggs waves him away. You are paranoid. She is just another quota hire trying to prove she can hang. He turns to the crowd. Who wants to see her clean the floor with her tongue? Cheers erupt. Kaylin remains motionless. Her hands rest at her sides. Her breathing continues in that same controlled rhythm. 4 in, hold, 4 out. She has not spoken a single word since Briggs first grabbed her. A large SEAL with a shaved head pushes through the crowd, holding up his phone. I got the whole thing recorded, Sarge. This is going to be legendary. Good. Briggs cracks his knuckles. Upload it to the group chat. Let everyone on base see what happens when... The bar door slams open. 2 military police officers stride in, their boots heavy on the wooden floor. The lead MP scans the room, his eyes locking onto the woman standing at the center of the crowd, beer dripping from her hair. Commander Rourke. The words land like a grenade. Every sound in the bar dies. The jukebox seems to fade into nothing. 15 SEALs freeze mid-motion, drink suspended halfway to their lips. Briggs blinks. What did you just say? The MP ignores him completely. He addresses Kaylin directly, his posture snapping to attention. Commander Rourke, Task Force Hydra requires your presence immediately. Priority Alpha. For 3 heartbeats, nobody moves. Then Kaylin reaches up and wipes the beer from her face with the back of her hand. The motion is slow, deliberate. Her eyes never leave Briggs as she straightens her spine, her shoulders squaring with military precision. The task force Hydra patch on her shoulder catches the bar light. The insignia gleams, a detail that had been hidden beneath the fold of her sleeve, invisible until this exact moment. "Commander?" Briggs's voice cracks. That is not possible." Kaylin steps forward. The crowd parts instinctively, bodies pressing back against the bar stools and pool tables. Her boots leave wet footprints on the floor. She stops directly in front of Briggs. Up close, she is smaller than him by nearly a foot. Her frame is lean, almost slight. Beer still drips from her chin, but her eyes belong to someone who has watched men die and made the hard calls that sent them there. "I told you not to touch me again." Her voice is quiet, controlled, the first word she has spoken all night. Briggs's face drains of color. His hands begin to shake. The beer bottle he is holding slips from his fingers and shatters against the floor. Nobody moves to clean it up. The bald seal with the phone slowly lowers it, his thumb frantically swiping to delete the recording. Others in the crowd suddenly find the ceiling very interesting. Hayes presses his back against the pool table, his expression a mixture of shock and grim satisfaction. The MP clears his throat. "Ma'am, should we take Sergeant Briggs into custody? The assault was witnessed by multiple—" "No." The single word stops the MP cold. Kaylin tilts her head, studying Briggs the way a surgeon studies an X-ray. "Sergeant Briggs will not be arrested tonight." Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Confusion, relief, suspicion. Briggs opens his mouth to speak, but nothing comes out. His Adam's apple bobs as he swallows hard. Kaylin leans closer, her voice dropping to a whisper that only he can hear. "You are going to wish I had let them take you." She turns and walks toward the door. Her stride is unhurried, confident, the kind of walk that belongs to someone who has already won and knows it. At the threshold, she pauses. "Lieutenant Hayes." Hayes snaps to attention. "Ma'am?" 0700, my office. Bring the incident reports from the past 6 months. "Yes, Commander." She steps into the night, leaving behind a bar full of SEALs who suddenly cannot look each other in the eye. If you are wondering what happens next, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Drop a like if you are Team Kaylin. And for those who really want to support the channel, the thanks button is right there. Trust me, you do not want to miss what is coming. The fluorescent lights in the Task Force Hydra briefing room hum with a low, persistent drone. Kaylin stands at the head of the conference table, her hair still damp, her uniform exchanged for a fresh set of operational fatigues. The Hydra patch sits prominently on her chest. 7 hours have passed since the bar incident. The room is empty except for one occupied chair. Sergeant Mason Briggs sits rigid, his hands flat on the table, his eyes fixed on a point somewhere beyond Kaylin's left shoulder. Sweat beads along his hairline despite the aggressive air conditioning. "You requested this meeting, Sergeant." Kaylin's voice carries no emotion. "Speak." Briggs swallows. "I came to apologize, Commander. My behavior last night was inexcusable. I did not know who you were, and You did not know." Kaylin repeats the words slowly, tasting each syllable. "So your treatment of that woman in the bar would have been acceptable if she were actually just a technician?" The question hangs in the air like smoke. Briggs's jaw works silently. There is no correct answer, and they both know it. Kaylin circles the table. Her footsteps are measured, precise. "Tell me about Somalia." The color drains from Briggs's face. "Ma'am?" 2015. Your unit was ambushed outside Mogadishu. You took shrapnel to the leg and chest. Your team was pinned down for 7 hours. Briggs's hands begin to tremble against the tabletop. "That mission is classified." "I know. I was there." The words hit Briggs like a physical blow. His head snaps up, eyes finally meeting hers. That is impossible. The rescue team was... There was no rescue team." Kaylin stops directly across from him, her palms pressing flat against the table. "Your extraction was handled by a single operator who dragged you 400 meters through hostile territory while taking fire from 3 separate positions." Briggs's breathing accelerates. His memories of that day are fragmented, blood loss, pain, the taste of sand in his mouth. And through it all, a figure in tactical gear pulling him to safety, face obscured by dust and smoke. "You called her something." Kalen's voice softened slightly. Do you remember? The room seems to contract around Briggs. His chest tightens. A name rises from the depths of his memory, spoken through blood-caked lips as consciousness faded. Angel in Dust. Kalen straightens. That operator saved your life, Sergeant. She carried you to the extraction point with 2 fractured ribs and a through-and-through wound in her shoulder. She did not mention it in the after-action report because the mission was not about her. It was about getting you home. Briggs stares at her, really stares. And slowly, piece by piece, recognition assembles itself in his eyes, the build of the woman who saved him, the way she moved under fire, the calm in her voice as she told him to keep breathing, keep fighting just a little further. No. The word escapes as a whisper. It cannot be you. You poured beer on the head of the woman who pulled you out of that alley. Kalen's tone remains level, but something flickers beneath the surface. You pressed my face into a table and told me I did not belong. Briggs's hands fly to his face. His shoulders begin to shake. The composed SEAL operator crumbles in real time, replaced by a man confronting the weight of his own actions. I did not know. His voice cracks. Commander, I swear I did not. You did not know, Kalen echoes again. And that is exactly the point. She moves to the window, her reflection ghosting against the glass. Outside, the base spreads in orderly rows of buildings and vehicles. Men and women in uniform cross the grounds, unaware of the confrontation taking place above them. I have spent the past 3 months embedded as a technician, she continues. No rank insignia, no command presence, just another face in the motor pool. Briggs looks up, confusion cutting through his distress. Why? Because Task Force Hydra has a problem. Kalen turns back to face him. Equipment failures that should not happen, intelligence leaks that compromise operations before they begin, and patterns of behavior, she pauses meaningfully, that suggest rot from the inside. The implications settle over Briggs like a cold shroud. You think someone in the unit is a traitor. I know someone is. Kalen crosses her arms. What I do not know yet is how deep it goes. Briggs processes this information, his tactical mind engaging despite his emotional turmoil. And me? You think I am involved? Are you? The question is direct, surgical. Briggs meets her gaze. No, ma'am. I am a lot of things. Apparently, I am the kind of man who humiliates women in bars for sport. His voice thickens with self-loathing. But I am not a traitor. Kalen studies him for a long moment. Her expression reveals nothing. We will see. She presses a button on the conference table. The door opens and 2 MPs enter. Sergeant Briggs will be confined to quarters pending further investigation. No communication with other unit members. No access to classified systems. Briggs rises slowly. He does not resist as the MPs flank him. At the door, he pauses. Commander? Kalen raises an eyebrow. For what it is worth, I am sorry. Not because you turned out to be my commanding officer, because I was wrong. About everything. The door closes behind him. Kalen remains at the window, her reflection staring back at her with eyes that have seen too much. Her hand drifts unconsciously to her left shoulder, pressing against the old scar hidden beneath her uniform. The scar she earned pulling Mason Briggs out of that alley 9 years ago. The morning sun cuts sharp angles through the blinds of the Hydra Command Center. Lieutenant Hayes arrives at exactly 0658, a stack of incident reports tucked under his arm. He finds Commander Rourke already seated at her desk, reviewing personnel files on a secure tablet. Dark circles shadow her eyes. A half-empty coffee mug sits at her elbow, long gone cold. The reports you requested, ma'am. Hayes sets the stack on her desk. Kalen does not look up. How long have you suspected Briggs was not the real problem? Hayes freezes mid-motion. Ma'am? Last night at the bar. Kalen finally raises her gaze. You tried to stop him. Not because you felt sorry for me, you were nervous, watching the crowd, almost like you expected something to go wrong. Hayes considers his options. Denial would be pointless. This woman has already demonstrated a talent for seeing through pretense. 6 months, he admits. Small things at first. Mission parameters that changed at the last minute. Equipment that failed at critical moments, always explained away as coincidence or bad luck. But you did not believe in coincidence. No, ma'am. I did not. Kaylin gestures to the chair across from her desk. Hayes sits. Briggs is loud, she says. Aggressive. He makes an easy target for suspicion, but the leak patterns do not match his access level. Hayes nods slowly. He does not have clearance for half the operations that have been compromised, which means someone higher up is feeding information. Kaylin taps a name on her tablet. Tell me about Chief Adler Vance. Something shifts in Hayes' expression, a tightening around the eyes, a subtle tension in his shoulders. Chief Vance has been with SEAL operations for 18 years. He was Briggs's mentor during basic training. Decorated, respected. Hayes pauses. Untouchable. That word, Kaylin leans forward. Untouchable. You say it like it leaves a bad taste. Hayes chooses his next words carefully. There are rumors, Commander, nothing concrete, but Vance has connections that go beyond normal channels. Supply contacts, intelligence assets, people who owe him favors. The kind of connections that could facilitate a leak. Hypothetically. Kaylin sets down her tablet. I need you to do something for me, Lieutenant. Something that stays between us. Hayes straightens. Name it. Vance will make a move soon, he has to. My presence here disrupts whatever operation he has been running. She slides a small device across the desk. This is a modified tracking chip. Find a way to place it on his personal vehicle. Hayes picks up the device, turning it over in his palm. If he catches me, he will not. You are smarter than he gives you credit for. Kaylin's expression softens slightly. I noticed you trying to protect that technician in the bar. The others saw weakness. I saw potential. The compliment lands awkwardly. Hayes is not accustomed to praise from commanding officers. He pockets the device and rises. I will have it done by nightfall, ma'am. Hayes. He pauses at the door. Whatever happens in the coming days, remember one thing. Kaylin's voice carries a weight that roots him in place. Not everyone who smiles at you is your friend, and not everyone who challenges you is your enemy. Hayes nods once and exits. Kaylin returns her attention to the personnel files. The photograph of Chief Adler Vance stares back at her. Silver hair, hard eyes, the confident smile of a man who has never faced real consequences. That smile will not last much longer. The sun sets over the naval base in shades of orange and purple. Long shadows stretch across the training grounds where SEALs run drills under the watchful eyes of their instructors. Chief Adler Vance walks the perimeter with the casual confidence of a man who owns the territory. His boots crunch against the gravel path. His hands rest comfortably in his pockets. A figure falls into step beside him. You wanted to see me, Chief? Briggs keeps his voice low. His quarters arrest has been temporarily lifted for this meeting, though he suspects the commander does not know about it. Vance does not break stride. You made quite a spectacle of yourself last night. I did not know who she was, obviously. Vance's tone carries the weight of disappointment. Do you have any idea what you have done? Briggs clenches his jaw. I apologized. I will accept whatever disciplinary action. Vance laughs, but there is no humor in it. You think this is about a reprimand in your file? They round a corner, moving into a secluded area behind the equipment storage facility. Vance stops, turning to face Briggs directly. Commander Rourke did not show up here by accident. Vance's voice drops to barely above a whisper. She has been investigating the unit for months, embedded, watching, gathering evidence. Briggs feels ice form in his stomach. Evidence of what? What do you think? Vance's eyes bore into him. The equipment failures, the mission compromises, the intelligence leaks. Understanding crashes over Briggs like a wave. It was you all along. Vance does not deny it. I have been running operations on the side for years, he says calmly. Nothing that hurt American interests directly, just facilitating certain transactions, moving information to parties who paid well for it. You sold classified intelligence. Briggs's voice rises. You compromised missions. People could have died. Keep your voice down. Vance's hand shoots out, gripping Briggs's arm with surprising strength. People did die. That is the cost of doing business in this world. The question now is whether you want to be among them. Briggs tries to pull away, but Vance holds firm. Commander Rourke is close, Vance continues. Too close. She has files, records. She is building a case that will bring down everyone connected to the operation. He pauses meaningfully. Including you. I am not connected to any operation. No? Then why did Mission 6-7 Alpha fail 3 months ago? The one where your team walked into an ambush because someone leaked the route? Briggs stiffens. That was not me. Of course not, but the evidence says otherwise. Vance releases his grip, smoothing down Briggs's sleeve with an almost paternal gesture. I have been careful, Mason, very careful. If I go down, I am taking others with me, and you are the perfect scapegoat. The realization hits Briggs like a physical blow. He has been set up. Every mission failure, every compromised operation, carefully arranged to point toward him while Vance operated freely in the shadows. What do you want? Briggs's voice comes out hollow. Simple. Vance checks his watch. Commander Rourke needs to disappear, permanently. Briggs steps back. You want me to kill a commanding officer. I want you to survive. Vance moves closer, his voice taking on an edge of urgency. She is meeting an asset at the container port tomorrow night. Some local contact who has been feeding her information. She will be alone, vulnerable. And if I refuse? Vance smiles. It does not reach his eyes. Then your mother receives a visit from some associates of mine. Nice woman. Lives alone in that little house in Savannah. Tends her garden every morning at sunrise. He tilts his head. Such a predictable routine. The blood drains from Briggs' face. You would not. I would. Vance straightens his collar. This is not a negotiation, Mason. This is your reality. Kill Rourke, and your debt is paid. Refuse, and your mother pays instead. He turns and walks away, his footsteps fading into the gathering darkness. Briggs stands frozen in place. His hands shake at his sides. His mind races through options, escape routes, alternatives. Every path leads to the same dead end, the woman who saved his life, or the mother who raised him. An impossible choice. Briggs stands at a crossroads that could destroy everyone he cares about. What would you do in his position? Comment your prediction below. The answer might surprise you. The night passes in fragments. Briggs does not sleep. He sits in his quarters, staring at the wall, replaying every moment of the past 24 hours until the edges blur together. By morning, his decision is made. Kaylin's office door stands open when he arrives. She looks up from her work, her expression unreadable. Sergeant, I do not recall authorizing your release from quarters. No, ma'am, you did not. Briggs steps inside, closing the door behind him. But you need to hear what I have to say. He tells her everything. Vance, the operation, the leak, the threat against his mother, the plan to eliminate her at the container port. Kaylin listens without interruption. Her face remains still as stone throughout the recounting. Only her eyes betray activity, processing, analyzing, fitting pieces together. When Briggs finishes, silence fills the room. You came to me. Kaylin's voice is soft. Despite the threat to your family, why? Briggs exhales slowly. Because you saved my life once, and because some debts cannot be paid with more death. Kaylin rises from her desk. She moves to the window, her back to him. Vance has been careful, she says finally. 2 years I have been tracking this network. Every lead has gone cold. Every witness has vanished or recanted. She turns to face him. You are the first person willing to testify against him directly. I will do whatever it takes. Briggs's voice steadies. Records, testimony, whatever you need. Just protect my mother. Already done. Kaylin pulls out her phone, showing him a message. Naval Criminal Investigative Service placed a protective detail on her residence an hour ago. Vance's associates will not get within a mile of her. Briggs sags with relief. You knew, before I even walked in here. I suspected. Kaylin pockets the phone. Vance needed leverage against you. Family is the obvious pressure point. She pauses. I also know that he is not working alone. Someone higher up the chain is coordinating the operation. Someone with access to assets and intelligence that even Vance cannot touch. How do you know? Kaylin returns to her desk, pulling up a file on her secure terminal. The screen displays communication intercepts, financial records, mission logs. The leak patterns are too sophisticated for a single operator, she explains. Information flows through multiple channels, obscured by layers of misdirection. Vance is the front man, the face of the operation, but someone else is pulling the strings. Briggs studies the data. Despite everything, his analytical training kicks in. What about the contact at the port, the asset you are supposed to meet? Talia Kerr. Kaylin pulls up a personnel file. Technical specialist assigned to intelligence support. She has been feeding me information about Vance's activities for months. Her expression darkens. What I did not know until recently is that she also has information about something more personal. More personal? Kaylin hesitates. For the first time since Briggs met her, something like vulnerability crosses her features. My father was a special operations officer, she says quietly. One of the best. His call sign was Asset Omega. 20 years ago, he was killed during a mission that was never officially acknowledged. Briggs waits. The circumstances of his death were classified, his record sealed, even his name was scrubbed from military databases. Kaylin's voice hardens. But Talia found something, a file that connects his death to the same network Vance is running now. The implications settle over Briggs like a weight. You think whoever killed your father is still operating? I think whoever killed my father created the network. Kaylin meets his eyes. And I think they have been watching me since I started getting close to the truth. The container port sits at the edge of the naval jurisdiction, a maze of shipping containers and loading cranes that stretch toward the dark water. Floodlights cast harsh circles of illumination across the concrete, leaving deep shadows between the towering metal boxes. Kaylin arrives at 21:30, exactly as planned. She moves through the port with practiced caution, her sidearm secured at her hip, her senses tuned to every sound and shadow. The meeting point is a small office near the western docks, a nondescript building used for customs inspections. Talia Kerr waits inside. The technical specialist is younger than Kaylin, late 20s, with nervous energy that manifests in constantly moving hands. She clutches a tablet against her chest like a shield. Commander, Talia's voice trembles slightly. Thank you for coming. Kaylin scans the room before responding. Single entrance, 2 windows, no visible threats. You said you found something important. Talia nods rapidly. The file I told you about, Project Frostbite. I managed to decrypt the main database. She holds out the tablet with shaking hands. It is all here. Everything about your father, about Asset Omega, about who ordered his termination. Kaylin takes the tablet. The screen displays layers of classified documents, communications, and operational orders dating back 2 decades, and at the center of it all, a name. Her breath catches. This cannot be right. I triple-checked everything. Talia's voice drops to a whisper. The person who killed your father, they did not just order the hit, they designed the entire network. Recruitment, financing, intelligence distribution, all of it traces back to one source. Kaylin stares at the evidence. 20 years of questions. 20 years of searching for answers that always seemed just out of reach. And now, finally, the truth. The lights go out. Kaylin reacts instantly, dropping low, drawing her weapon. The tablet clatters to the floor as she pulls Talia behind a desk. Stay down. Footsteps echo outside, multiple contacts, moving with tactical precision. The door explodes inward. Kaylin fires twice, controlled bursts that find their marks in the darkness. Bodies hit the ground. Return fire sparks against the concrete walls. Talia screams, "The back window!" Kaylin grabs the younger woman's arm. Move! They crash through the glass into the night air. Kaylin rolls to her feet, scanning for threats. 2 more figures emerge from between the containers, weapons raised. She engages them without hesitation. Combat breathing, 4 counts, controlled bursts, economy of motion. Both targets drop. But more are coming. She can hear them. Coordinated movement through the maze of containers. Professional operators closing from multiple angles. This way! Kaylin pulls Talia toward a gap between containers. They need to reach the perimeter, find cover, call for backup. A figure steps into their path. Chief Adler Vance. He holds a weapon at his side, not raised, his expression almost regretful. Commander Rourke? He shakes his head slowly. You should have stayed away from this. Kaylin positions herself between Vance and Talia. It is over, Chief. NCIS has your communications, your financial records, everything. Does it? Vance takes a step forward. You think I survived 18 years in this business by leaving loose ends? Behind him, more figures emerge from the shadows. 6, 8, armed and armored, their faces obscured by tactical gear. Kaylin's grip tightens on her weapon. The odds are impossible, even for her. You cannot escape this, she says. Too many people know. Too much evidence exists. Evidence can be destroyed. Vance gestures to his men. Witnesses can be silenced. He raises his weapon. Kaylin's mind races through options, the distance to cover, the angle of fire, the position of Talia behind her, no clean solutions, no guaranteed survival. She prepares to move anyway, to fight until the last breath, to take as many of them down as possible before a shot rings out. Vance staggers, his weapon drops, his hand flies to his shoulder where blood begins to spread across his uniform. From the darkness to Kaylin's left, another figure emerges. Sergeant Mason Briggs, his own weapon trained on Vance's men. "Stand down." His voice carries across the port with authority he did not possess yesterday. "All of you, now." Vance's operators hesitate. Their leader is wounded. Their target has unexpected backup. The tactical calculus shifts. "You would betray me?" Vance spits the words at Briggs. "After everything I did for you? You threatened my family." Briggs keeps his weapon steady. "You used me as a scapegoat for your treason. You tried to make me murder a woman who saved my life." He advances slowly. "The only thing you ever did for me was show me exactly what kind of man I did not want to become." More lights flood the area. Helicopters descend from the darkness. Vehicles converge on the port from every direction. NCIS, Naval Security, Task Force Hydra operators in full tactical gear. Vance's men throw down their weapons. Surrender protocols engage. Within minutes, the situation is controlled. Kaylin lowers her weapon slowly. Briggs approaches her, his expression uncertain. "I contacted Lieutenant Hayes after our meeting." He gestures toward the incoming forces. "He mobilized the response team. I figured, if I was going to do this, I was going to do it right." Kaylin studies him for a long moment. The man who humiliated her in a bar. The man she saved in Somalia. The man who just risked everything to save her in return. "Thank you, Sergeant." Briggs shakes his head. "I am not looking for thanks, Commander. I am looking to make things right." He pauses, starting with an honest question. "Ask. Why did you save me in Somalia?" Briggs's voice cracks slightly. "You did not know me. You had no reason to risk your life for some wounded grunt in an alley." Kaylin considers the question. The memories of that day surface briefly. The heat, the gunfire, the weight of an unconscious man across her shoulders. "Because that is who I am," she says finally. "I protect the people beside me, even the ones who do not deserve it." She holds his gaze. "The question is whether you can be that person too." Briggs straightens. Something shifts in his posture. Something that might be the beginning of a different kind of man. "I want to try." Kaylin nods once. Around them, the controlled chaos of the aftermath continues. Arrests, evidence collection, wounded being treated. But beneath the surface, larger questions remain unanswered. The tablet Talia dropped during the firefight lies somewhere in the debris. The file about Project Frostbite, about Asset Omega, about the person truly responsible for all of this. Kaylin retrieves it from beneath a fallen piece of equipment. The screen is cracked but functional. The documents remain intact. She scrolls to the name at the center of everything and realizes that while tonight ended one chapter, another is just beginning. The port lights flicker overhead as emergency vehicles continue to arrive. Talia Kerr sits wrapped in a shock blanket, giving her statement to NCIS investigators. Vance is loaded into a medical transport under armed guard, his face contorted with impotent rage. But Kaylin's attention remains fixed on the tablet in her hands, the name glowing on the cracked screen. The truth about her father's death, and the hunt that will follow. Justice is not loud, it is patient. She pockets the tablet and walks toward the waiting command vehicle. The first battle is over. The war has just begun. The Naval Command Center hums with activity at 0300. Monitors cast blue light across exhausted faces. Coffee cups accumulate on every flat surface. Kaylin stands at the central display, the cracked tablet connected to the main system. Around her, NCIS investigators and Task Force Hydra operators study the decrypted files with growing alarm. Project Frostbite. The name scrolls across the screen in stark white letters, followed by classified documents that should not exist. 23 years of operations. Special Agent Marcus Webb traces the timeline with his finger. Recruitment networks across 4 continents. Financial channels through 17 shell companies. Intelligence distribution to hostile actors in at least 9 confirmed instances. Kaylin's jaw tightens. And at the center of it all, Webb hesitates. The answer is on the screen, but speaking it aloud feels like crossing a threshold. Asset Omega. His voice drops. Your father, Commander. Lieutenant Commander Daniel Rourke. Call sign Frostbite. The room falls silent. Kaylin's expression remains controlled, but her hands curl into fists at her sides. 23 years of questions. 23 years of being told her father died in a training accident. 23 years of knowing, somewhere deep in her bones, that the official story was a lie. He discovered the network, she says quietly. Did he not? Webb nods. According to these files, Lieutenant Commander Rourke stumbled onto the operation during a mission in the Gulf. He started gathering evidence, building a case. The agent pauses. Someone found out. The next document fills the screen. An execution order. No signatures, no official channels. Just a single directive transmitted through encrypted communications 23 years ago. Asset Omega compromised. Terminate with extreme prejudice. Stages training accident. Kaylin reads the words 3 times. Each reading drives the blade a little deeper. Who gave the order? Webb pulls up another file. Communication logs. Financial transfers. A pattern of activity that traces back through decades of careful concealment. The network has always operated through intermediaries, he explains. Vance was the current frontman, but he answers to someone else, someone who calls themselves Spectre. A code name. More than that, a ghost. Webb magnifies a section of the communication logs. We have intercepts going back 15 years, different voices, different locations, but always the same signature, always the same operational fingerprint. Talia Kerr approaches from the technical station, her face pale beneath the monitor glow. Commander, there is something else you need to see. She inputs a sequence of commands. The display shifts to show a personnel file. Old, classified at the highest levels. The photograph shows a young man in naval uniform, sharp features, intelligent eyes, a confident smile that borders on arrogance. This was taken 30 years ago, Talia says. Before the network existed, before any of this began. Kaylin studies the face. Something about it tugs at her memory, a familiarity she cannot place. Who is he? The original Spectre. Talia's voice trembles slightly. The man who created the network, the man who ordered your father's death. She enlarges the name beneath the photograph. Commander Adrian Vance. Kaylin's blood runs cold. Vance. Adler Vance's father. Webb finishes the sentence. Adrian Vance founded the network in the early 90s. When he died 8 years ago, his son inherited the operation. The agent pulls up a side-by-side comparison. Adler has been running things ever since, expanding, evolving, using his position within SEAL operations to recruit assets and move intelligence. The pieces fall into place with brutal clarity. Adler Vance did not stumble into treason. He was born into it, raised for it, groomed from childhood to continue his father's legacy of betrayal. And 23 years ago, when a young lieutenant commander got too close to the truth, Adler's father gave the order that made Kaylin an orphan. Where is Vance now? Her voice comes out flat, dangerous. Webb checks his tablet. Medical transport to the secure facility at Norfolk. He should arrive within the hour. Should? The agent's expression darkens. We lost contact with the transport 15 minutes ago. Kaylin is already moving toward the door. Commander, Webb calls after her. We should wait for backup. Coordinate with... There is no time. She pauses at the threshold. Vance knows we have the files. He knows his entire operation is compromised. A man like that does not go quietly. She disappears into the corridor. Hayes falls into step beside her before she reaches the vehicle bay. His tactical vest is already secured, his weapon checked and ready. I monitored the transport route, he says. Last known position was near the port industrial sector, same area as the container facility. Kaylin does not slow down. How many assets can we mobilize in the next 20 minutes? 12 operators, 2 helicopter units. NCIS is scrambling additional support. Not enough time. She reaches the command vehicle and pulls open the door. Vance will be gone before they arrive. Hayes hesitates. Commander, with respect, you cannot go alone. I do not intend to. A figure emerges from the shadows of the vehicle bay. Briggs. His shoulder is wrapped in fresh bandages, his arm secured in a tactical sling, but his eyes are clear, focused. I am coming with you. Kaylin studies him for a moment. The man who humiliated her. The man she saved. The man who saved her in return. You are wounded. I can still shoot. Briggs moves to the vehicle. And I have unfinished business with Vance. The drive takes 11 minutes. The container port looks different in the pre-dawn darkness. Emergency lights still flash from the earlier confrontation. Crime scene tape flutters in the ocean breeze. But the investigators have withdrawn, their work interrupted by the chaos of Vance's escape. Kaylin spots the medical transport immediately. It sits abandoned near the western loading docks, its rear doors hanging open. 2 bodies lie nearby, naval security personnel who never saw the attack coming. He had help. Hayes crouches beside the fallen guards, checking for pulses. At least 3 additional hostiles based on the shell casings. Briggs scans the maze of containers. Where would he go? Kaylin closes her eyes. Thinks like Vance would think. A cornered predator with decades of operational experience. Limited options. Desperate measures. He needs extraction, she says. A way off the base that we cannot track. The cargo ships. Hayes straightens. 3 vessels scheduled for departure in the next 2 hours. International waters within 30 minutes of leaving port. Kaylin nods. Which one has the least security oversight? The Meridian Star, Panamanian Registry, departing for Southeast Asia at 0500. They move through the container maze in tactical formation. Kaylin on point, Hayes covering the right flank, Briggs, despite his injury, maintaining steady coverage of their rear. The port feels different now. The towering metal boxes create corridors of shadow that could hide anything. Every sound echoes, every movement draws attention. Kaylin holds up a closed fist. Stop. Ahead, voices carry through the darkness. Vance, giving orders to his remaining men. The files are compromised. We move to Protocol 7. Contact the Meridian and tell them we are coming aboard early. Kaylin signals Hayes. Flank left. She gestures to Briggs. Hold position. She advances alone. The gap between containers opens into a small clearing. Vance stands at the center, his wounded shoulder crudely bandaged, his face twisted with pain and fury. 4 armed men surround him, their weapons trained outward. Chief Vance! Her voice cuts through the darkness. Every weapon snaps toward her position. Vance spins, his eyes widening when he recognizes the figure emerging from the shadows. Commander Rourke. He manages a bitter laugh. Persistent. Just like your father. Kaylin steps into the clearing. Her weapon remains holstered. Her hands hang loose at her sides. You knew him. Knew him? Vance's expression twists. I grew up hearing stories about the great Lieutenant Commander Rourke, the golden boy, the perfect operator, the man who almost destroyed everything my father built. Your father was a traitor. My father was a visionary. Vance takes a step forward. His men adjust their positions, maintaining firing lines. He understood that the old rules were changing. That information was the new currency of power, that those who controlled the flow controlled the future. He sold secrets to enemies of this country. He got people killed. He played the game at a level you cannot comprehend. Vance's voice rises. And when your father threatened to expose everything, we did what had to be done. The confirmation lands like a physical blow. Kaylin has suspected for years. She has seen the evidence tonight. But hearing Vance admit it, hearing the casual dismissal in his voice, ignites something cold and sharp in her chest. You were there. It is not a question. Vance smiles. The expression holds no warmth. I was 18 years old. My father brought me along to watch, to learn. His eyes glitter in the darkness. Your father fought hard, I will give him that, even at the end. Even when he knew he could not win. He tilts his head. I wonder if you will show the same spirit. Kaylin's hand drifts toward her weapon. I would not do that, Commander. Vance gestures to his men. 4 guns against 1. Even someone with your reputation cannot beat those odds. She does not have to. Hayes emerges from the left flank, weapon raised. A moment later, Briggs appears from the right, his pistol steady despite his injury. 3 against 4. Kaylin draws her sidearm. Better odds. Vance's confidence wavers. He assesses the tactical situation. His men are skilled, but tired, wounded, operating on adrenaline and fear. Stand down, he addresses his operators. This does not have to end in blood. No. Kaelin advances slowly. It does not. Surrender now, and you face military tribunal. Resist, and you face us. For a moment, the port falls silent. The ocean breeze carries the smell of salt and diesel. Somewhere in the distance, a ship horn sounds. Then Vance moves. He grabs something from his vest and hurls it toward the ground. A flashbang. The explosion of light and sound rips through the clearing. Kaelin drops and rolls, her training taking over. Gunfire erupts around her. Muzzle flashes strobe through the disorientation. When her vision clears, Vance is running. His men provide covering fire, forcing Hayes and Briggs into defensive positions. Kaelin does not hesitate. She sprints after Vance, weaving between containers as rounds spark against the metal walls. The chase leads deeper into the port, past loading cranes and stacked cargo, past fuel depots and maintenance buildings. The maze seems endless, each turn revealing another corridor of shadows. Vance is fast for a wounded man. Desperation fuels his flight. He knocks over equipment, sends pallets crashing behind him, anything to slow his pursuer. Kaelin gains ground steadily. Her breathing stays controlled. 4 counts in, hold, 4 counts out. The rhythm of her footsteps matches the rhythm of her heart. She rounds a corner and nearly runs into a forklift. Vance has climbed the vehicle, using it to reach a catwalk above. He scrambles onto the elevated walkway and disappears into the superstructure of a loading crane. Kaelin follows. The crane towers above the port, its arm extending out over the water where cargo ships wait at anchor. Kaelin climbs the access ladder, each rung bringing her closer to the man who ordered her father's death. She finds him on the operator platform. Vance stands with his back to the control console, his weapon aimed at her head. Blood seeps through his makeshift bandage. His breath comes in ragged gasps. "End of the line, Commander," he gestures with his gun. "For both of us, I think." Kaelin steps onto the platform. The wind is stronger up here, whipping her hair across her face. Below, the port spreads out like a circuit board of lights and shadows. "Drop the weapon, Vance." "Or what? You will shoot me?" He laughs, but there is no humor in it. "We both know how this ends. You get your revenge. I get a bullet. Very poetic." "I am not here for revenge." "No?" Vance's eyes narrow. "Your father was murdered. His killers covered it up for 23 years, and now you have one of them cornered, wounded, alone." He shakes his head. "Do not pretend you do not want to pull that trigger." Kaelin holds his gaze. "I want justice," she says quietly. "There is a difference." "Justice!" Vance spits the word. "There is no justice. There is only power. Who has it? Who wants it? Who is willing to do what it takes to get it?" He raises his weapon slightly. "Your father understood that in the end, when he realized he could not beat us, when he realized his precious principles were worthless. He died protecting something you will never understand. He died because he was weak." Vance's finger tightens on the trigger. "Just like you." Movement behind him. Briggs emerges from the opposite access ladder, his weapon trained on Vance's back. Blood soaks through his bandages. His face is pale with pain and exertion. "Sergeant," Vance does not turn around. "I was wondering when you would catch up." "Put down the gun, Chief. Make me." Briggs advances slowly. "You used me. Set me up to take the fall for your operation. Threatened my family. I gave you opportunities." Vance still does not move. "Advancement, recognition, everything you ever wanted in your career, and this is how you repay me. You taught me that loyalty means nothing, that honor is just a word." Briggs's voice hardens. "You were wrong." Vance finally turns, bringing his weapon around toward the new threat. Kaelin fires. The round catches Vance in the leg. He crumples, his shot going wide, his weapon clattering across the platform. Briggs kicks it over the edge. Vance lies on the metal grating, clutching his leg, his face contorted with pain and rage. Blood pools beneath him. His breathing comes in short, desperate gasps. "Finish it." He looks up at Kaelin. "You know you want to." She approaches slowly. Her weapon remains trained on his chest. "My father did not die for revenge," she says. "He died because he believed in something bigger than himself, bigger than power, bigger than survival." She kneels beside Vance, bringing her face close to his. "I am going to honor that belief, not by killing you, by making sure you spend the rest of your life answering for what you have done. Every secret, every betrayal, every life destroyed by your family's operation." She straightens. "That is justice." Vance stares at her. For the first time, something like fear crosses his features. "You think this ends with me?" His voice cracks. "The network is bigger than one man, bigger than one family. There are others, people in positions you cannot imagine. They will not stop just because. Then I will find them too." Kaylin holsters her weapon as the sound of approaching helicopters fills the air. "However long it takes, however far I have to go." She turns her back on him and walks toward the ladder. "You are just like him," Vance calls after her. "Your father, strong, principled, naive." His laugh dissolves into coughing. "It will get you killed too." Kaylin does not respond. She climbs down from the crane as NCIS helicopters descend on the port, their spotlights cutting through the darkness. Naval security vehicles converge from every direction. The remaining hostiles surrender without resistance. Hayes meets her at the base of the crane. Relief floods his face when he sees her uninjured. "Commander, Vance? Alive, wounded, ready for transport." She looks back up at the platform where Briggs is securing the prisoner. "Make sure medical gets to him quickly. I want him healthy enough to stand trial." "Yes, ma'am." If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to see it. And stay tuned for the next chapter. Frostbite's journey is far from over. The following days unfold in a cascade of revelations and consequences. NCIS tears apart the network with surgical precision. The files from Talia's tablet provide roadmaps to decades of hidden operations. Bank accounts frozen. Assets seized. Communications intercepted. 18 individuals across 3 branches of military service face charges related to the conspiracy. 12 more in civilian intelligence positions. 4 contractors with ties to defense industry giants. The investigation expands beyond naval jurisdiction. FBI, CIA, congressional oversight committees. The scandal touches corners of the security establishment that have remained hidden for a generation. Admiral Christine Porter arrives at the Hydra Command Center on the 3rd day. She is a small woman with silver hair and eyes that have seen too much. Her uniform carries enough ribbons and medals to tell a story of 40 years in service. She finds Kaylin in the briefing room, reviewing after-action reports. "Commander Rourke." Kaylin rises to attention. "Admiral?" Porter waves her down. "At ease. This is not a formal visit." She settles into a chair across the table. "I knew your father." The words hang in the air. "We served together early in our careers," Porter continues. "Before either of us had rank worth mentioning. Daniel was..." She pauses, choosing her words carefully. "He was the finest officer I ever worked with. Principled, capable, absolutely fearless when it came to doing the right thing." Kaylin remains silent, waiting. "When he died, the official story never sat well with me. Training accident." Porter shakes her head. "Daniel did not make those kinds of mistakes, but the investigation was closed before I could ask questions. Files sealed. Personnel reassigned." Her voice hardens. "I always suspected something was wrong. I just could not prove it." "You can now." "Yes." Porter meets her eyes. "Thanks to you. What you uncovered these past few days, it vindicates everything Daniel believed in, everything he died trying to protect." She reaches into her jacket and withdraws a small box. Inside, resting on velvet, is a medal, the Navy Cross. "This should have been awarded 23 years ago," Porter says. "Your father's actions during his final mission saved the lives of 6 team members and prevented the compromise of critical intelligence assets. The commendation was buried along with everything else." She slides the box across the table. "It belongs to his family now." Kaylin takes the medal with hands that tremble slightly. The weight of it seems far greater than its physical mass. "Admiral," her voice catches. "Thank you." Porter nods. "There is one more thing. Task Force Hydra needs permanent leadership. Someone who understands the threats we face. Someone who has proven their capability under the most extreme circumstances." She stands. "The position is yours, Commander, if you want it." Kaylin looks down at the medal in her hands. Her father's legacy. The mission he gave his life to complete. "I want it." Porter extends her hand. "Then welcome aboard, Commander Rourke. Officially this time." They shake. The moment feels like a doorway closing and another opening. After the Admiral departs, Kalen sits alone in the briefing room. The metal catches the overhead light, its surface gleaming. Talia enters quietly. "Commander, there is someone here to see you." Kalen follows her to the detention wing. The holding cells are sparse, concrete walls, metal bunks, security cameras monitoring every angle. Briggs sits on the edge of his bunk, his wounded arm still in a sling. He looks up when Kalen approaches the bars. "Commander?" "Sergeant." Silence stretches between them. So much history compressed into such a short time. The bar, the humiliation, the revelation, the battle at the port. "They told me I am looking at 18 months, Briggs says finally. "Conduct unbecoming, failure to report suspected criminal activity, insubordination." He manages a weak smile. "Could have been worse. A lot worse." "You cooperated fully with the investigation. You risked your life to stop Vance. The tribunal took that into account." Briggs nods slowly. "I keep thinking about that night. The bar. What I did to you." He shakes his head. "I have replayed it 1,000 times, trying to understand how I became that person. And I think," he pauses, gathering his thoughts, "I think I spent so long trying to prove I belonged that I forgot what belonging was supposed to mean. The brotherhood, the honor, the service." His voice drops. "Somewhere along the way, I turned into exactly the kind of man I joined up to fight against." Kalen studies him through the bars. The arrogant SEAL who poured beer on her head seems like a different person entirely. "Do you remember what you called me in Somalia?" she asks. Briggs closes his eyes. "Angel in dust." "Do you know why I went back for you? Why I risked the mission, my cover, everything to pull one wounded operator out of that alley?" He shakes his head. "Because that is what we do." Kalen's voice carries the weight of conviction. "We do not leave people behind, not the ones who deserve it, not even the ones who do not." She pauses. "You made terrible choices, Briggs. You hurt people. You failed the oath you swore." He flinches at each word. "But you also stood up when it mattered. You chose the harder right over the easier wrong. You put yourself between me and Vance's bullet." She holds his gaze. "That counts for something." Briggs meets her eyes. "What happens when I get out?" "That depends on you." Kalen steps back from the bars. 18 months is a long time, long enough to figure out who you want to be, what kind of man you want to become. "And if I figure it out?" "Then maybe we talk about second chances." She turns to leave. Task Force Hydra could use someone who understands redemption. She walks away, leaving Briggs alone with his thoughts and his choices. At the door, she pauses. "Sergeant?" "Ma'am?" "For what it is worth, we are even. The debt from Somalia, the debt from the port, it is balanced." Briggs nods slowly. "Thank you, Commander." "Do not thank me yet." Her voice carries a hint of something that might be warmth. 18 months is a long time to think about whether you are ready for what comes next. The door closes behind her. The military bar looks different in the afternoon light, quieter, more subdued. The neon signs are dark, the jukebox silent. Kalen pushes through the front door. Conversation stops. Every head turns toward her. SEALs frozen mid-drink, operators caught in suspended animation. The same faces that laughed while Briggs poured beer on her head now stare with expressions ranging from shame to fear to something approaching reverence. She walks to the bar. The bartender, a retired Master Chief with arms like tree trunks, sets down the glass he was polishing. "Commander Rourke." His voice carries respect that was absent 5 days ago. "What can I get you?" "Water, thank you." She leans against the bar, surveying the room. Nobody meets her eyes. Nobody speaks. The tension is thick enough to cut. One by one they begin to stand. The bald SEAL who recorded her humiliation rises first, then the operator who wolf whistled, then another, and another, until every person in the bar is on their feet. Lieutenant Hayes steps forward from the crowd. "Attention on deck." The room snaps to military bearing, spines straight, chins up, eyes forward. Hayes crosses to stand before Kalen. His expression is formal, but his eyes carry something deeper. "Commander Rourke." His voice fills the silent bar. "On behalf of SEAL Team 7 and Task Force Hydra, I want to apologize, not just for what happened in this bar. For all of it, the disrespect, the doubt, the failure to see what was right in front of us. Kaylin accepts the water from the bartender, takes a slow sip. At ease. The room relaxes slightly, but nobody sits. I did not come here for apologies, Kaylin says. I came here because this is where it started, and I wanted you all to understand something. She sets down her glass. I could have revealed my identity the moment I arrived on this base. I could have pulled rank, demanded respect, made sure everyone knew exactly who they were dealing with. Her gaze sweeps the room. I chose not to. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. I chose to watch, to listen, to see how this unit really operates when nobody important is looking. Her voice hardens. And what I saw was rot. Not just Vance, not just the network, but a culture that allowed weakness to masquerade as strength, that confused cruelty with toughness, that treated anyone different as less than. The silence returns, heavier than before. That changes now. Kaylin straightens. Task Force Hydra has a new mission, new leadership, new standards. Anyone who cannot meet those standards is welcome to transfer out. No questions asked, no hard feelings. She lets the words sink in. But anyone who stays, anyone who commits to building something better, you will find that I reward loyalty, competence, and integrity. You will find that I protect my people the same way I protect myself. She picks up her glass again. The same way I protected Sergeant Briggs in that alley in Somalia. The same way I would protect any of you, if the situation demanded it. Understanding dawns across the room. The story of the bar incident has spread through the base like wildfire, but now they are hearing the rest of it. The context, the history, the woman who dragged their brother out of a combat zone with broken ribs and a through-and-through wound. The bald SEAL who recorded her humiliation steps forward. Commander. His voice cracks slightly. I deleted the video. Everything. I wanted you to know. Kaylin nods. I appreciate that. And I am sorry. He swallows hard. I was wrong. We all were. Around the room, heads nod, murmured agreements, the beginning of something that might eventually become respect earned rather than respect demanded. Kaylin finishes her water and sets the glass on the bar. One more thing. She reaches into her pocket and withdraws a challenge coin. The Hydra insignia gleams on its surface. This unit has a tradition. When an operator earns their place, they receive one of these. She places the coin on the bar with a soft click. But tradition works both ways. When a commander earns the trust of their unit, the unit tells them. She looks around the room. So here is my offer. When you decide I have earned it, you let me know. She turns and walks toward the door. At the threshold, Hayes calls out, Commander. She pauses. Hayes approaches, reaching into his own pocket. He withdraws his personal challenge coin, worn smooth by years of service, and extends it toward her. You earned it in that alley in Somalia. His voice is steady. You earned it again at the port, and you earned it by standing here facing us after everything we did. He places the coin in her palm. Welcome to the team, Frostbite. Other coins appear. The bald SEAL. The operator who wolf whistled. One by one, members of the unit step forward, placing their personal coins in a growing pile on the bar beside hers. Kaylin watches the stack grow. The metal catches the afternoon light, each coin representing a career, a sacrifice, a commitment to something larger than self. When the last coin falls, she allows herself a small smile. Thank you. The words are simple, but they carry the weight of everything that has passed between them. Now let us get to work. She pushes through the door and steps into the sunlight. The base spreads before her in orderly rows. Men and women in uniform cross the grounds, their movements purposeful, their bearing sharp. In the distance, helicopters lift off from the training pads. Hayes falls into step beside her. The investigation is wrapping up, he reports. Vance's network is effectively dismantled. Most of the key players are in custody or cooperating. Most? Hayes hesitates. There are still loose ends. Communication intercepts suggest at least 3 high-level assets who were never identified in the files. People Vance reported to. People who may have been running operations independently. Kaylin nods slowly. Vance's words on the crane platform echo in her memory. The network is bigger than one man. There are others. Commander? Talia approaches with a tablet in her hands. Her expression is troubled. You need to see this. She hands over the device. On the screen, a message, encrypted. traced through 17 proxy servers before arriving at Kaylin's secure account. Well played, Frostbite. Your father would be proud, but the game is far from over. Tower 4 sends regards. Kaylin reads the message twice. Tower 4, a reference she does not recognize. A player who remains in shadow. Can you trace it? Talia shakes her head. Already tried. Whoever sent this knows exactly how to cover their tracks. Military-grade encryption. Ghost protocols I have never seen before. Kaylin stares at the words. Another piece of the puzzle. Another thread leading into darkness. Archive it. Flag it Priority Alpha. She hands the tablet back. And start building a profile. Tower 4. Find out what it means. Yes, Commander. Talia hurries away. Hayes watches her go. You think there is more to this? Beyond Vance? I know there is. Kaylin turns to face the ocean. The sun hangs low on the horizon, painting the water in shades of gold and crimson. My father uncovered the network 23 years ago. They killed him to keep their secrets, but the network survived, evolved, found new hosts. And now? Now we cut off one head and another grows in its place. She watches the waves roll against the distant shore. Vance was not the end. He was just the beginning. Hayes considers this. What do we do? Kaylin turns back to face the base. Her base, her command, her mission. We hunt. Her voice carries the same quiet intensity that made her a legend in Somalia. The same unshakable resolve that allowed her to endure humiliation for the chance to expose corruption. However long it takes, however deep the rot goes, we find them and we finish what my father started. She walks toward the command center. The setting sun casts her shadow long across the concrete. Behind her, the ocean continues its eternal rhythm against the shore. Hayes watches her go. The woman who walked into that bar 5 days ago, beer soaking her uniform, face pressed against the table, seemed like a victim. Someone to be pitied, dismissed, forgotten. The woman walking away now is something else entirely. A commander who earned her rank in blood and fire, a daughter who honored her father's sacrifice, a hunter who has just caught the scent of bigger prey. Hayes picks up his pace to catch up with her. Commander, he falls into step at her side. Whatever comes next, Task Force Hydra is with you. Kaylin nods once. Then let us begin. They disappear into the command center as the last light fades from the sky. Somewhere across the ocean, in a secure facility that does not officially exist, a phone rings. A gloved hand picks up the receiver. Status report. Vance is in custody. The network is compromised. Commander Rourke has been confirmed as Hydra lead. Silence on the line. And the files? Partially recovered. She knows about Project Frostbite. She knows about Asset Omega. More silence. Longer this time. Then we proceed to Phase 2. Activate the contingency and send the message. Already done, sir. Tower 4 sends regards. The line goes dead. The gloved hand sets down the phone and reaches for a file on the desk. The cover bears a single word, stamped in red. Frostbite. Pages turn. Photographs. Reports. A lifetime of service compressed into classified documents. The file closes. Outside the window, dawn breaks over a foreign skyline. A new day. A new chapter. A new game. And somewhere, on a naval base thousands of miles away, a woman with frost in her eyes prepares for war. The end credits roll. But the story continues. Justice is not loud. It is patient. And Frostbite has all the time in the world.
Every soldier carries a story that few ever hear. Listen with your heart. Thank you for staying and watching. Subscribe to MVB Story for more.